So that brings us to Thoreau. Now, Thoreau, in his time, a neighbor put it that he was described this way: an irresponsible idler, a trial to his family and no credit to his town. Okay, so he was seen as a loser. And he was disregarded largely as a writer. In fact, Walden languished on bookshelves for years. So at age 26, he went to New York City because he really wanted to establish himself in the literary scene there. And he tried to develop his career in a conventional way, and he kind of shaped his prose to match the fashion of the times and so on. Some of you might know the story. Well, he was a total failure. I mean, he just crashed. He was really not paid attention to, really rejected. So that, of course, when we hit bottom, we do the soul searching. And for him, in that soul searching, he realized he had tried to fit into convention and lost touch with beingness. What did he do? He returned to bring his attention back to the natural world. He went back home. He set up shop, so to speak, 1.5 miles from his house. That's where he did all his natural observing and being. And through that time, his mother brought him sandwiches and cookies. I mean, he was like, this was not some grandiose thing. People still thought of him as this guy that was just hanging out. Okay? But what was happening within him had some majesty to it. It was holy. Because his love for this natural world and his observation of the nature around him and within him opened him. He got aligned and he became empowered. His writing became empowered because he was tapped into the source, tapped into beingness. So he could inspire people, continue to inspire people to be who they really are. This was his message. He says, one should always be on the train of one's own deepest nature, for it is the fearless living out of your own essential nature that connects you to the divine. He sensed what he loved. He sensed the possibility of really manifesting it, and he engaged. So it's instructive to us, because it is so clear that in this culture, in the West, we are painfully disconnected from the natural world, so much so that it is that we can even allow it to be violated, this larger body of our being. And we're disconnected from our own beingness and our busyness, our activity. So his message is, know what you love. Aspiration. Come back and connect to beingness. And then find that you become like that straw, that the universe will start flowing through you in a very organic and powerful way. Reading about Thoreau, and I thought of Joni Mitchell's words, we're stardust, we're golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. You know, I've heard it for so many years, but just hearing it again, you know, we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. That's where hope arises and carries us into the fullness of what we are. So again, I'm going to keep naming the components. It's this longing to live fully, and then finding a way back into the garden. For us here, so many times it has to do with stepping out of the thoughts that keep us limited. Coming back to the body and allowing what's here. Being in our larger body of nature and remembering the natural rhythms. Knowing our belonging, and that aligns us so our actions then come out of wisdom and serve healing.